Okay, so I want to walk you through a process that you can walk yourself through, you can walk your business through in the event that you find out that you are not making enough sales. So we're going to start from right here at the top. The first question that you need to ask is, does the market want what you are selling? Which means that you're going to have to take your product and your service and you're going to have to go back to the research space. You're going to have to do this research. Now, if you are not in the Discord, you should be, because in the Discord, you have access to the step-by-step process that you can use to research your products and services before you actually create them. This way, you're not creating products and services that nobody wants. Okay. Now, here's the thing. And this can be especially challenging for those of us who are service based business owners. Oftentimes, because you are the expert in what it is that you do, you have spent the money to get the certifications, you have made the mistakes, you have gone to the conferences, you have done all of the experimentation, you have the experience, you have all of these things. You know what the people in your target market need, provided that you did the research ahead of time, right? Like, you know what they need. However, you must understand that people do not buy things because they need them. People buy things because they want them, even when they pay their electricity bills. Now, you'll say, well, electricity is a necessity. You can't be in your house without electricity. And on one end, that does make sense. But what you've got to understand is the underlying motivation behind why they pay the electricity bill. They pay the electricity bill because if they don't, the experience that they are going to have is going to be vastly different from the experience that they are used to, that they would prefer to have with electricity. So even though, yes, on one hand, electricity is a necessity, right? There's rules and all kinds of things if you're renting an apartment and all kinds of things, right? There's rules. But the motivation behind why people want to pay that bill on time is because they want to maintain the quality of life that they are used to. And without electricity, they don't get to have the quality of life that they're used to. So you must understand that while you as an expert may know exactly what they need, they don't buy because they need. They buy because they want that experience. They want that convenience. They want that luxury. And so oftentimes what you have to do is you have to give them what they want so that you can lead them to what it is that they need. But you can't get them to what they need if they won't purchase from you. And they won't purchase from you unless you give them what they want. Okay? So again, if you're not in the Discord, click the link in the description. If you are in the Discord, it's going to be in the let me get the name of the channel. I will get the name of the channel for you right now. It's going to be in the discount codes channel. It's going to be in the discount codes channel. And that is a step-by-step process that you can use to research your niche, as well as any products and services before you create them, so that you don't end up creating products and services that no one wants. Okay. All right. So let's say that you do the research and the answer to that question is no. Okay. Well, before you throw the whole product or service away, the next question that you want to ask is, does anyone want what you're selling? Because sometimes you can have the right product and you're just selling it to the wrong audience. For example, let's say that you have created something that is supposed to support teachers, right? And you go back to the drawing board and you do your research and you realize teachers aren't buying this. Teachers aren't paying for this. Teachers don't want this. Traditional teachers don't want this. However, homeschool teachers actually love these kinds of resources. Well, if that's the case, then you simply just switch your market. You switch from trying to sell that product or service to traditional teachers to selling that product or service to homeschool teachers. However, if you ask this question And the answer is no, meaning either nobody wants that service or you don't really have a big enough of a market of people that would actually want that product or service, then you need to get rid of it. Okay. So that's the process on that side. Okay. Now, if you end up having to switch markets, or if the answer to the first question, does the market want what you are selling? If the answer to the question is yes, then the next question that you need to ask is, does your pricing make sense in the market? Here's the thing, and I'm going to say this again with service-based business owners. Understand that unless you have a very strong position in the market in which you sell, you don't get to determine the pricing of what it is that you're selling. And I know that that is antithetical to the charge what you're worth teachings, which is weird to me, right? Because you can never charge what you're worth. Nobody on this planet can pay you enough money for your time, for your knowledge, for your skills, for your expertise, for you. It's not possible, right? So until you have a really, really strong brand position in the market, you must understand that the market determines what they are willing to pay. And so sometimes, again, because we are an expert and because we've put so much energy into these products and services, when we created them, we want to charge the absolute most for them. And I'm not saying that you can't, but I am saying that if you're not making enough sales, that may be the problem. So you may need to change your pricing so that it is in line with what the market is selling that particular product or service at. Understanding that you can always raise your pricing later as you develop more of a relationship with your audience and as you develop a stronger position in the market. So if your pricing does not make sense, you need to change it. If your pricing does make sense, now you need to evaluate your marketing strategy. The interesting thing is that most people or most coaches or whatever, oftentimes when you say you're not making enough sales, they will immediately have you start evaluating your marketing strategy. But the reality is, if you have the perfect marketing strategy, but nobody wants what you're selling, or you're selling it to the wrong market, your marketing strategy is not going to make a difference unless you have the kind of money that allows you to pay to play at those big levels. If you don't, then you need to start with making sure that the market even wants what you're selling. So after you've done all of this work, now you come in and evaluate your marketing strategy, right? So if you're using social media to market your business and the goal is sales, okay, so let me be very clear. We're not talking about growing a brand or growing a community. We're talking about sales. Then you have to ask yourself if the platforms you're marketing on are the platforms where people who are looking for what you sell actually go to buy those things. I'll give you an example. If you own a manufacturing company, right, then having an Instagram account may make sense from the standpoint of building your brand, right? You have an Instagram account because you want to be found in as many places as are available to find you online. So it's a brand building kind of thing. It could even be a community building kind of thing, right? However, what you do have to understand is that most people who would need a manufacturer or who would need access to a warehouse that manufactures something, goods, products, something like that, are probably not using Instagram as the research tool to find manufacturers. So attempting to create sales content on Instagram may not be the best use of your resources because the people on that platform don't use Instagram to find manufacturing companies. Does that make sense? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, are you giving the platforms what they want? Now, if you know me, you know I am all about fuck the algorithm. I don't believe in pandering to the algorithm. I don't give a shit about the algorithm. The algorithm changes every other 5 minutes. And unless you have someone who is dedicated to chasing the algorithm all over the country, all over the internet on behalf of your business, it does, I don't really care about the what's happening with the algorithms. I do believe in being wise when you are using the platforms, right? You have to give the platforms what they want. You have to give the platforms what they want. I'm not saying chase the algorithm all over the place, but what I am saying is, for example, if you know that Instagram is a very visual platform, then if you want to play the game of Instagram, you have to be able to give them visually appealing content. If that's not in your wheelhouse or you don't have the space to do that, then maybe marketing on Instagram right now is not going to be the best option for you, right? So, in your video content, are you capturing their attention, right? Are you giving them a call to action? This is one that's really interesting to me because I see so many people post on social media and the goal is to make sales, but they never give a call to action for anybody to buy anything. And again, when people are thinking about the algorithms, they're like, oh, well, if I say go to the link in my bio, they're going to suppress it. If I say da 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 da, here's the thing, right? Assume that your content is going to be suppressed on some level unless you have a whole lot of followers or unless you're willing to spend the money to pay to play. Just assume that, okay? That's what it is. It is what it is, right? But here's the thing. If only 100 people are seeing your content, right? Wouldn't you want the opportunity for at least one of those 100 people who may have wanted to buy what you're selling to have been given the instruction to go and click the link or to DM you or whatever the situation may be to actually purchase what it is that you're selling? Right? That makes sense. Does your content tell the stories that your potential customers want to see? Are you telling the stories that they want to see? Are you speaking to them? Are you speaking their language? Are you answering the questions that they are already asking themselves in their heads? Understand that some of the people that have spent the most money with us have been people who have never interacted with any of our content. They've never liked, they've never shared, they've never commented, right? But we produced a video or a photo or an image or something that answered a question that they were already asking themselves. And because we had a call to action that prompted them to either reach out to us privately or to go directly to the link wherever we were selling, whatever we were selling, to make that purchase. Okay. Are you marketing enough? Are you marketing enough? If the goal is to make sales, then you need to be marketing enough to be able to make sales, right? Understand that especially if you're utilizing social media as a marketing tool, on any given social media platform, only about 2% of your audience is seeing your content, okay? And you have no control over which 2% is seeing your content at any given time. You have no control over that. And the average person in this day and age, and we are in June of 2024 at this time, needs about 14 to 21 touches to be able to know, like, and trust you enough to be able to make a buying decision. So if you know that only 2% of the people who follow you see your content and they need 14 to 21 touches to be able to make that decision, and you have no control over which 2% are seeing your content at any given time, then understand that if you're only posting once a week, you're probably not marketing enough to be seen to be able to make sales. Okay. And if you're running ads, or if you're paying someone to run your ads, you need to be evaluating that strategy on a regular basis. Okay. Now, here's the other thing. Whether you like it or not, social media platforms are pay to play. It is what it is. Start running ads to some of your best performing content. If you see a piece of content that is doing well organically, and when I say well, I don't mean well from the standpoint of going viral. right? Because virality doesn't necessarily equal sales. But doing better in comparison to the other content that you have, then yes, you want to run ads to that content. Now, this is not an ads class. What I will tell you is that before you run ads on any social media platform, make sure that you either understand the ad strategy or you hire someone or a company that understands your market. Because especially with service-based business owners, a lot of times when you are speaking with ad agencies, people who run ads or agencies that run ads, they do a really, really good job on their customers and clients who have goods-based businesses. So they sell candles, t-shirts, attire, uh, luxury luggage, those kinds of things, those kinds of tangible things. You want to ask them very specifically what kind of results they have received with companies that are in your industry that have followings as small as yours. Because the results that they're going to get working with a service based business that already has 500,000 followers is not the same as the results that they would get working with a service-based business in the same industry with someone who only maybe has, 200 followers. So you need to make sure that you're asking those questions, okay? Then the next thing you want to do is you want to evaluate your sales strategy, right? So if you're using sales pages, then you want to evaluate those pages, okay? Look at your copy. Okay. One of the things that I see often on sales pages is people will have these really long sales pages and it will be really hard to get to a buy button. There have been times when I was interested in purchasing something from a business and the sales page is so long and I'm just like, oh my God, where is the freaking buy button? I don't need to be convinced. I just want to be able to click and pay for the thing. And I will click off of the website either because I get frustrated or because I get distracted or because something comes up. Because it's like, oh my God, like I don't want to read 18 million words. I don't need that kind of convincing. So one of the things that you want to check your sales page for is to make sure that it's got enough buttons because you don't know where in the process of reading your sales page somebody is going to be ready to make a decision. And if you don't make it easy for them to pay you, then you're not making it easy for you to make sales. Okay. If your strategy includes you doing sales calls, right, then you want to find out, number one, are you even attracting the right kind of leads that are qualified for your offer? That can be an issue. What are you saying to these people online? Right. One of the things with me in sales calls is I don't believe in doing a lot of convincing. If I do a sales call, it is literally just to answer any questions that you may have about the service that you are considering. I don't do a lot of, this is just me. I don't do a whole lot of like overcoming objections and all of these different kinds of things, right? And so I make the sales pages, if it is a sales page, I make the sales page extremely clear. And if there is a sales call, well, then, we're on the sales call. And I say that at the beginning, like we are on this call so that we can answer any questions that you have about this particular service. Because the idea that I have is that if you're on the sales call, it's because you already want it. Right? So are you doing those kinds of things, right? If you do spend time overcoming objections, like how are you overcoming those objections? Are you really overcoming those objections or are you just solidifying what it is that they are already thinking, solidifying the doubts that they already have in their minds? And then a huge part of this is the follow-up, right? Are you following up? Now, here's the thing. I am not one of those people who believes in following up 999,287 times. I don't. I'm not going to do it. It's not my thing, not my jam. Okay. I prefer to work with people who are empowered buyers and people who make decisions, who are confident in their own ability to make decisions. However, I do believe that you should at least follow up anywhere from 1 to 3 times. Me, 3 times is the max. And 3 times is really pushing it because I will typically stop at 2. Because if you're not in a position to make this decision right now. I mean, if you're following me on social media or if you're on my email list, we will probably have a conversation at a later time. But you want to make sure that you're at least giving yourself that many chances at bat. Okay. So this is the process that you can walk yourself through. This process map is already in the Discord, and I'm going to link this video into the Discord. If you have any questions about implementing this in your own specific business, we have a questions channel in the Discord. Ask your questions in there, and either one of our moderators will answer them, or if it's necessary, I may create like another video or some other resource to help answer that question for you. And if you are not in our Discord, you want to go ahead and jump in. As of right now, it is totally free, and the link is going to be in the description.